Hello, and welcome to another episode of Five Alarm Task Force. I'm your host, Steve Green. Happy to be here with you and happy to have you here with us. And joining us today, a good friend, again, one of the great friends that I have met through the podcast, and we stay in touch with each other. We don't get to talk a lot, but we have some emails, go back to stuff, and that is Assistant Chief. Anybody know? Anybody know who it's going to be? Huh? Jacob Johnson from the Pearland, Texas Fire Department. Jacob, I'm so happy to have you back this time. You know,
Yeah,
good. I'm sorry.
no, I'm happy to be back, Steve. This is one of my favorite things, and I don't know how your other email and invite got stuck in the spam, but it did, and I'm glad that you reached back out because I always enjoy coming on here and talking with you and seeing your face and having some good discussions. So I think this is probably our fifth time, I
I
think,
think, yeah.
and I've never walked away unsatisfied. I've always walked away completely happy and ready to finish my day because it's always a good conversation.
Well, thank you very much. And this part of the year now is we're in the second half of our ninth season, and I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to make it because of my health into the 10th.
Hmm.
So we're going to keep that at bay, but it's one of the things, it's like a 50-50 right now balance. My wife and my doctors are saying, but
Yes, sir.
this doesn't put me a lot of affect me in my autoimmune disorder. So it's
Sure.
fun and it's great to talk with you again. And just before we started recording, we were talking about, I had just seen uh, in the Firehouse magazine of new station builds. Uh, Great, you'll see some great departments there with great new architecture for their buildings or a new building, etc. And one of the things I saw in this issue, I was just reading it the other day, one of the ads had the picture of the Pearland Fire Department, at least at one of their stations, but there were so many pieces of apparatus,
Hmm.
I thought they called the general alarm. But that, when I saw that, it said to me, you gotta reach out to Jacob again. We gotta talk with Jacob. And
Sure.
when we, just before we started recording, we were talking about the strong magnetic effect Pearland has with its people to recruit. Now, first of all, to retain those they have now and keep them happy and keep them fed,
Hmm.
and then we have the recruitment. And while you mentioned that, you have some of the recruitment issues that other departments have, and we know across the country, retention and recruitment is in a very difficult, choppy waters, I think would be the best way of putting it. Yet
Absolutely.
you guys are doing pretty well with that, though. The recruitment is good. You're you have people walking in to see and learn more about it. They're not all going to stay, of course, but they come in and look. But also the fact that you bring those people in and you have your own people as your public advisors to help guide new people looking to come and join. So, and you also mentioned that you're growing and building. Your plans out for 7, and you have developing ideas for stations 8 and 9. So this is a big area. This went from one station. I think you were with it when it was still one station, weren't you?
Yeah, we had two
2.
when I very first started because we were the first to ever be hired in Pearland. We had two firehouses, and really, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, we had one and a quarter because Firehouse One was not really a firehouse; it was just really a storage building for fire trucks, and had about, if I remember correctly, 220 square foot of living space. And we housed a crew, an executive assistant, and a fire chief, battalion chief, and a pumper crew all in that house. So, yeah, I'd say we probably had one and a quarter firehouses when we started here, but theoretically we had two.
But now you're growing up, you're getting ready for 7 and planning for 8 and 9. Now that also means that the area that you're covering is growing as well.
No, the area that we cover has stayed the same over the years, about 72 square miles. But the amount of citizens is absolutely growing. The amount of buildings in our, our mega box buildings and strip centers and apartment complexes population is growing. And so what that's doing is it's causing more traffic. And so due to the length of time it takes to get to certain parts of town, that's how you justify your firehouses. And so that's how we're justifying them is it is very long response times now due to all the traffic and infrastructure that's coming into our city. So we have to strategically place these firehouses to better serve our citizens.
Um, where is Pearland in regards to Lubbock?
We're about 8 hours from Lubbock
Oh, that's
South.
far. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
we
just saw,
border.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I just saw in the news blast that they had an incident with their truck, one of their truck companies. They got hit from behind by one car, and then
Mhm.
another car hit that car.
Right,
But
yes, sir.
so, you know, that we really, next to a line of duty injury, or God forbid, line of duty death, we hate when our apparatus are out of service.
Absolutely. I mean, especially in today's world where, the price is increasing to astronomical values that I never thought I'd see in my career. And I honestly, I think some of the values that these truck manufacturers are putting on their trucks are non-sustainable. So that's another issue that we're fighting in the fire service right now. And the turnaround times. I have just over $10 million worth of apparatus on order that we ordered the last budget year, and we won't see trucks till 2028, 29, and 30 because of the turnaround times on these trucks. Where in the earlier part of my career, we were about on an 8 to 9 month turnaround time, 12-month turnaround time. We're looking at upwards of 48 months right now to get a ladder truck, one ladder truck. So yeah, I mean apparatus going out of service is a huge issue. Let alone the price that keeps increasing, that I just don't think is sustainable. But to go back to where we're located, just for the viewers, we border the south side of Houston. So they cover one side of the Beltway, we cover the other side of the Beltway, and we run from a city called Friendswood to another ESD territory slash city called Fresno. And as the crow flies, we're about 21 miles from the coast, from Galveston. But if you took the roadways, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 34 miles. So not too far from the water. So when hurricanes hit, like this summer with Hurricane Beryl, we're right in the path. And then, we're in a nice community that borders the south side of Houston.
Well, that's interesting because you're I guess contracted with these other couple of cities that you just mentioned.
No, we're not contracted. They have their own fire departments. It's just we share borders with them.
Oh, we share borders.
So
Okay.
yeah, so if somebody was to go Google City of Pearland, then that would be the borders that they would see is like Fresno and Manville and Friendswood up to the south side of Houston.
All
So
right.
we're in that little pocket right there.
Yeah, I was thinking about you guys when the hurricane was. We saw the hurricane form, and here in South Florida, we watch the moment
Sure.
something spirals. We start paying attention.
Right.
We expected the big one this year. I think that was Milton. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we dropped the water in the pool, and we did as much prep as we really could, food stocks and everything else, uh, and then it never even touched us.
Nope.
We had a little bit of wind, and it totally missed us. But then
Right.
we saw, but that's us on the east coast of Florida, west coast. Joe DeVito,
Yep.
where he is in Fort Myers. Uh, they got whacked twice
Yeah.
in this hurricane season, and
Yes, they did.
that's tough. They're right on the coast there. But again, thank God everybody in his department was okay, and he's fine, and always keeping up the humor online as he's very good at
Oh
doing.
yeah, absolutely.
So, how what would you say is the number one attractant that brings new people looking at Pearland Fire?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's our people. You know, I think that we have an absolute elite set of employees here, firefighters, code enforcement officers, fire marshal's office employees, and then general staff employees, such as our EAs and our training staff and our data analysts. And everyone here operates on an elite mindset. And with a winning mindset. And I think their attitude and behavior and the way that they love their job and the way that the the guys and girls on the street love their job. I think that that is the most attractive part to our fire department. Do we have some nice, shiny, flashy things? Absolutely. But I think every department has that, right? And I think the number one attractant to Pearland is absolutely our people. Our people are our biggest recruiting tool. They're our most important asset that we have here in the city. They are the ones that set the tone that others want to be a part of. I just had a young man walk in my office as he's interviewing for a firefighter opening right now. And he said, "Hey, my name is Jacob." His name happens to be Jacob Johnson as well, which is totally
Oh,
weird. But anyways, he said, so I was told I had to come shake your hand. So he shook his hand and I said, well, what made you come here? He goes, sir, I've been following y'all for a long time on social media. And he goes, but man, every time I ask somebody about Pearland, they tell me I need to go. I need to go to a bigger department. And if I'm going to go to a bigger department, Pearland is the place to be. And he goes, and so every person I talk to tells me Pearland. And so what that tells me is that those people are talking to our people. It's not that they're looking at our Facebook posts saying, oh, they have nice trucks or they have, they make a lot of fires or this or that, which is all very true. But they're talking to members here and they're telling these young kids, if you want a bigger department and you're not invested anywhere, you need to go to Pearland. And I think that's all due to our brothers and sisters on the street here, to all of our general staff here at headquarters, and to the attitude, behavior, the mindset that we put out into the general public of the fire service is recognized and appreciated, and it's wanted. And I think that's our biggest recruiting tool.
yeah, that's amazing. Especially we've seen over the last couple of years, and I think the pandemic was a push, caused this push of people, the younger people not looking to do a lot of hands-on. They prefer to do, so I can work at home and things like that. But a lot of them aren't happy with working at home. It's not
Hmm.
that they want to, it's not the business or doing it at the office or doing it at the home. It's they're not getting satisfaction from the job they're doing. And the fact that so many people come to Pearland, first to inquire and visit, they learn about it, and your PR people take it over and help them. And then they get to meet somebody like you. Just one of those strange things in life that the guy was named Jacob Johnson also.
Yeah, it was
You
very
know,
strange. Yeah.
I was hoping I wasn't going to see a new face there, but we logged in. But I think that says so much for the what we still can do today. We can't, as I said, the pandemic changed a lot. I think all these prices, I think even the inflation thing, that was all caused by the pandemic.
I think
I
so.
believe, yeah.
Hmm.
And I think the makers of products decided, well, hey, you know what? Everybody needs this now, so let's raise the price on it. It'll be the same old thing, but we'll just raise the price on it for them. And
Yeah, I,
we've seen that across the boards.
I think so, and I think more or less than that, is I really don't think that there's any manufacturers out there that are maliciously saying let's raise the price. Is I do think what the pandemic affected is the shipping and the exporting and importing and the tools and parts and everything that we need to operate, right? And I think that those prices increase, so the prices increase forever. The issue that I'm saying is non-sustainable is we will always need to buy fire trucks, loose equipment. We will always need to buy bunker gear. We will always need to be spending money to operate efficiently on the fire ground. And so at the rate that it's increasing, I'm saying it's not sustainable because how can cities and municipalities and ESDs and taxpayers continue to afford that? And so how do we level that out on the job, right? How do we as chiefs and business owners with manufacturers of all different types of equipment that we use, how do we come to a happy medium that is the best for the taxpayer? Right. And that's where I'm at with it is I want to take care of my citizens, not only save their life or provide them a service that they need and that they deserve, but also be able to provide them a life at home with their family that they can afford to do things and not just pay taxes, right? And how do we regulate that and keep that stable in today's job? I don't know. I don't have the experience or to be able to answer that, but I do know that if everything in this country, and on this job continues to increase, then I don't see it being sustainable because there's just not that much money out there, right? To be able to allow people to have the life that they want to have while also affording life, right?
Right.
There's a lot of fire departments out there that are behind on the pay scale. That's normal. That's been the case since the inception of the paid fire service. I feel for those brothers and sisters out there that are still working 4 and 5 and 6 jobs in 2024 just to afford life. And so, how do we make that better, right, for the everyday taxpayer? Because when I leave the city limits of Pearland, I'm paying taxes back where I live, right? And my taxes go up just like everybody else's. So that way, the fire department, the police department, the public works, the water department, I mean, everything can operate. So, how do I make that better, right, in order to make it the best and the lowest impact on the citizens, right? Which I understand is not the main concern of the fire department, but I do concern because it is my job to be fiscally responsible with our budget, and the budget comes from the citizens, right? And so how can I maintain that while staying at a happy level with the fire department and the firefighters and providing everything that they need to be successful in their careers, while also allowing my citizens to not have to dump their money into taxes and have a life that they deserve.
Right. Very good point. Um, along that line, you've kind of had a growing persona in the last couple of years. And we mentioned before we started recording that uh, just recently you had a little deal with this company's five alarm task force friend Peter Matthews. Peter was on just last month, and he's always a great guy to talk to. Always like you, maybe because he's a Dallas Fort Worth guy and you're a Houston guy, but
Mhm.
uh, he really did a great job recruiting you to do. I'm not sure if it's actually a podcast or is it uh, words to live by. It's probably both, a little bit of both.
Yeah, probably both. It's just a little weekly series that we do, 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes total. It's very awkward for me because it's a self film. So I have to self film my message and set up the background. There's a lot of stuff that I'm learning with that. So, the first few episodes, I may look a little awkward or may not look like Jacob, or some people are like, man, are you reading cue cards? No, I'm not reading cue cards, but I'm trying to make sure that I produce a product that Firehouse can be proud of, especially Peter and the editor that I'm working with, Brian Baker, making sure that they're very satisfied with their product. And, there's a lot of things when you self film that I don't think about, like the lighting in the background and, making sure that I'm the main focus of the camera and not my surroundings, and making sure that I put a message out there that sounds or how can I put it, that
Resonates.
resonates. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Resonates with the listeners and really makes an impact in their life. Is I'm taking the time out every week to put a message out there, and I want to make sure that it's worth the listener's time, because, like I've always said, right, time is our greatest commodity. We can make more money, we can have a new job, we can go and work more hours, but we can never make more time. And so I don't want to be a waste to anybody's time. And so if you're going to take 3 to 4 to 5 minutes out of your day to listen to my message, or just listen to me jabber, I want to make sure it resonates with you. And so there's a lot of things that go into this new venture of self-filming and producing this Mentor Monday series by Firehouse Magazine that is a learning experience for me. And I'm very, very honored and blessed to get tapped to do something like this. And I just hope that as the weeks go on, I get a little more comfortable and I become more like this, more like Jacob, as I go on to the self-filming nature of it, because it's very awkward to just talk to a camera and not have a face like yours or somebody else's to
Yeah.
talk to and have a conversation.
But that's great. Now, if we want to look at the one from yesterday, where we find it on the website.
Yeah, so you can find it on their website. You can find it on all their social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook. I also share it to all of my pages. So you can always share it out, or I'll always share it out there. So you can go to my Facebook page or my LinkedIn. It's just my name, Jacob Johnson. You can find me, and you can view them there, and you can actually follow Firehouse's pages, and they post it every Monday morning. So you should get a notification of when a new one is up.
Oh,
And then
figure that
there,
out. Yeah.
yes, sir. And there'll be 52 of them. We're doing it every week. So, by this time next year, there'll be 52 of them out there that you can listen to. So, somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 170 minutes of Jacob jabbering, for Firehouse's Mentor Monday.
I think it was a great idea that they had, and I think they absolutely picked the right person to do it. Um, you've always been so passionate from the first time we met online. Uh, that's what came through the electronics is that you are so passionate about the fire service, about Pearland, and
Absolutely.
not just the fire service by you, but you're concerned, as most of us are, about the fire service in this country. We
Hmm.
know what our brothers and sisters in greater Los Angeles are have been through, are going through. It's wonderful to see some of the big names in Hollywood donating millions of dollars. I just heard that Chris Hemsworth is donating $20 million to the
Wow.
cause. Uh, Billy Billy Crystal and his wife donated, I think, at least 10 million to the cause.
Wow.
And there are some others who have made major donations just to help people uh, going there. And I think the citizens, yes, they're frustrated because it took a while to get all the spots down, cooled. No, we didn't want any more embers flying around to get back to their homes and see what was left of them.
Hmm.
But more importantly, the fire department, the greater LA City and LA County fire departments, plus all the people that joined them out. And it was wonderful to see people coming from other countries, coming from across the United States to make sure that there were always enough apparatus to help the people on the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that that's so important. And I'm hoping that this will be a lesson for America and Canada, um,
Yep.
because if we don't know, we don't have the opportunity to share with each other in times of need and in times of learning, uh, then there's a big fault with that. Because,
Absolutely.
the fire service is not unique. We have fire, we have our law enforcement brothers and sisters, our EMS brothers and sisters, our road rangers, all of them. They're all part of this family of first responders. And when they don't see us, they blame us.
Hmm.
And if we're there and we do something without fully explaining it to them, then they don't like us. So it seems that we have to tippy toe around almost every aspect of life to be able to do this job that we love, whether your career, volunteer, WI makes no difference. We do it because we love it. We don't do it because, well, I couldn't get the job at the bank, so I'll go to become a firefighter. You got to have that
Absolutely.
passion. You got to have that
You
passion
do.
in you. You got to have that flame already burning in you. Even if it started when you were 5 years old and you got a fire engine as a toy. My grandson is three and a half, going to be 4 in May, but he talks like he's a sixth grader already. He loves all the fire toys that I've provided for him and that he gets to play with here. And
Right.
now he has a couple at home, and because they just live a mile and a half away from us. So, do I want him to be a firefighter? I want him to be what he can be, what he
Hmm.
wants to be. Um, would I like it if he became a firefighter? Absolutely. Would I worry about him? Absolutely. But the fact is, if that's what he wants, if that flame is burning in his heart, like it does for you and me, all the folks at Pearland, uh, when they see how much we share and care, that's what's going to bring them forth and say, hey, this might be a good place for me to
That's
be.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I think that's what people need to remember is there's two sides of it. One is, yes, we are the brothers and sisters, and it's not just the borders of the United States, it's worldwide.
Mhm.
If you're a firefighter in Australia, you're a firefighter in China, you're a firefighter in Germany, London, Africa, wherever, you're a brother or sister to me,
Right.
just like I'm a brother or sister to you, right? And that we have to send help when help is needed. And we sent people from the Houston area, we sent people from around here. There's people that have traveled all over this nation to help with these national incidents. But the one thing that I wish I could drive home to the citizens, like that's the one thing that I wish that I could get on national TV and tell everybody about is think about the firefighters for 1 second. Just 1 second. Everyone is screaming me, me, me. Everyone is screaming you won't let me home. Everyone is screaming my house burned and everything else during this incident, right? Let's just use LA as an example right now. What about those firefighters that live there too? I guarantee you that they lost houses.
Oh, they did.
I guarantee you that they left their house to go to a small brush fire, not realizing that in a few days this fire will now be consuming their neighborhood and all their belongings are gone too. Think about the firefighter family who watched their husband or their wife or their mom or their dad, their brother, their sister leave to go to work and go get dispatched to this small fire, and then it rapidly grow, and now they are stuck by themselves without their hero, and they have to evacuate, and their house is burned, and that mom or those kids or that husband, that father, that wife are having to do all this work to evacuate by themselves without their hero and how the families have sacrificed. Think about the families here in the Houston area that sacrificed while their husbands or wives or moms or fathers or brothers or sisters left to go to California to help, and then we get hit with a polar vortex and 4 inches of snow and having to prep the house by themselves or having to prevent pipes from busting and everything else that goes on with these cold snaps. There's always someone sacrificing out there, and I think it's very important for people to understand of the firefighters are killing themselves to serve you, and that is our oath and that is our promise, and we will never break it. But there's a lot of sacrifice and suffering that goes on within the firefighter's family and house and internal being, right, that you'll never hear about because we're not the type to make it about us.
Right.
And so I wish that just for once, someone would say out there, like, like all these people are suffering, but I wonder if those firefighters are okay. I wonder if their families are okay. I wonder if their sacrifice, that family sacrifice is being recognized and valued. And I think that that's part of my purpose in life and on this job is to take moments like this and let the families of our brothers and sisters know that their sacrifice is known and it is realized and it is valued and it is praised for. And we love you for taking care of our brother and sister firefighters and going through that sacrifice so that they can help these citizens, that they can go help on these wildfires, so that they can go help with the floods, so that they can just go to work tomorrow. Your sacrifice is known and valued, and we appreciate you as the family of our brothers and sisters because of all that you go through while they're doing their job. And I don't think that anybody ever puts that out there really. And I think that that's a pendulum that we need to swing here on the job is understanding the true sacrifice of the families and what they go through. My wife has been through a lot over the 20 years that we've been together, and my son, who's now about to be 13, he's been through a lot, right, over the last 13 years of his life. So who out there is thanking my family for their sacrifice? Who out there is understanding that every hour and every minute that I spend here, that they're going through sacrifice. I had to go to a conference, right? I couldn't get out of it. It's one of these conferences that the state of Texas wants to know that you go to for your certification. And I had to go to that in the middle of the polar vortex. So I had to teach my wife how to shut the water off to the house. I had to teach my son how to light the fireplace. I taught him how to shut the water off, how to drip the sinks, how to, do all these things, wrap the plants and all this stuff, which is normal. I should be teaching my son that stuff, but I shouldn't have to be entrusting a 13-year-old to step up and be the man of the house because dad's away at work. And whether I was at a conference or not, I would have been in Pearland for the storm anyways, and would have been sitting in the EOC and still having to do those preparations. So I would hope that someone out there says, hey, I appreciate Chief Johnson stepping up and being here, but I also hope his family's okay, and I hope that they understand that I recognize and value their sacrifice for him being here. And so I think that that's something that, most firefighters need to talk about these days is the sacrifice of the families and how important it is to us being successful on the job, right? Because without their sacrifice, there's no way we're successful.
Exactly. Exactly. And matter of fact, last week, Andy, Nick, and I uh, exchanged emails, and we came to a decision, and we have started a national outreach uh, to raise money for our brothers and sisters in California. Um, there are trillions of dollars of damage, and but as you said, sacrifice the men and women of every fire department, LA County, LA City, Ventura County, Orange County, everybody came together to help each other. And that's one of the things that really is great about the fire service is that unless you tick people off every day, the fact is that people care about you and want the best for you and appreciate what you do. However, this was an extraordinary circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
probably foreseen in the past, and nobody just really bought into it. And now we pay the price for that. So we started a program where we're going to solicit through social media. Um, we each did a recording of what we're doing, and the money, we're setting aside this money that comes in for especially going out to help the firefighters in the greater LA area. So if you want to help us with this, then you just heard Jacob really talk from the heart about what we do and what we sacrifice and the cost to us personally when we sacrifice time away from our family. Because that, as you just said, that hurts them as well.
Absolutely.
So imagine now these firefighters and tens of thousands of Californians who have lost everything, including those firefighters. Many of them lost everything, their house, their car, their clothing, everything, and are starting from scratch. Finding a place to live was the first thing. But it's time that the national and international listeners, viewers, readers of social media, it's time that they come up, stand up. If you like what we do, stand up and help us. Help us help our brothers and sisters. Because you know what? You don't know when you're going to need the fire service or EMS or law enforcement at your residence. And so you know what these people work. You know it's hard work. You know it's difficult work sometimes. We often see, as we say, stuff that we would never ask anybody else to look at. But that's our job. That's what we do.
That's right.
We can't erase it. Once we get back from the call, we try not to dwell on it. We might review it to see our practices. Did we do everything right? Anything else we should have done? But that's our internal critique. And most departments still do an after action report or review, which is, I think, imperative.
I do too. I think it's very imperative, and I think it's important for your mission for people to grab onto it and help out and donate where they can. And because I think it's important to recognize the fact that when these firefighters lose their home, they don't get to leave. They don't get to tell their chief, "Oh, I got to go home. My house burned down." They have to stay there and finish their job.
Yep.
For us in 2017 with Harvey, we had several members with 10 foot of water in their house. They couldn't leave. They couldn't go take care of their house. They had to stay here and finish the mission. And that's the promise that we make to the citizens.
Right.
And that's a promise that we'll never fail on in any part of the job. But that's the stuff to think about when you're doing good things like this and you're putting yourself out there and wanting to help out everybody is those firefighters will finish the job regardless what has happened to their own house or their own place or their own family.
Right. Very true. So if you would like to help us with this, all you have to do is visit our website, www.5-alarmtaskforcecorp.org. When you get there, On the homepage, you'll see the picture of a bright, shiny Q2B siren. Click on the siren picture and our donation page will open up. You can pay by cash, you can pay by credit card, you can pay by debit card, you can do an ACH transfer, whatever is comfort for you. We're not asking you individually to give thousands of dollars, but if everybody gives $5 or $10 and $20, those add up. And we're trying this by our three board of directors, members here of the corporation, the nonprofit, and we need your help because you don't know when you may need your fire department and its firefighters, and they're not able to come because the station burnt down or firefighters were severely injured. You don't need that. We want to make them know that the job they did is recognized not only by firefighters across this country and in Canada and in Mexico, but they are also the most important, probably one of the most important jobs we have in this country, and that's in any country, is being firefighters. So they gave their all, and it's time that we say thank you and help them out. Remember, they're just like us, regular people, couples, families, kids, mortgages, cars they're paying for, all that, but they're paying for what they don't have anymore. It's disappeared. How do we get that back to them, give them the power to rebuild their lives? Just like, a lot of departments, and I'm not sure if Pearland does it, at the end of when they're finished with putting out a fire in an apartment or a dwelling or even a building, they have a little booklet. A lot of departments have this little booklet, what to do after the fire, after it's done. One of the things we say always, call the Red Cross first if you need it. But we'll be there, just like the firefighters in California were there for the massive fires there. And they're not out yet, by the way. A new one just broke out, I think it was Sunday, broke out on Sunday. So if you want to just send a check, you could mail it, make it payable to 5-Alarm Task Force Corp. And your amount is your choice. Okay. Anything that you give will help. And mail it to our name, 5-Alarm Task Force Corp. The address is 978 Ramblewood Drive. That's RAM as in Michael, B as in boy, L as in Lincoln, E as in Echo, W as in Whiskey, O Oscar, D David Drive. 978 Ramblewood Drive. And that's Coral Springs, 2 words. Coral like under the ocean, Springs like a bad bed, Florida. And the zip is 33071-7152. And you will receive, if you send a check or you make a donation, you'll receive a thank you letter from us for doing so. Jacob, everything we've done today, we've talked about today, some of it we've talked before about, but I see a different you. I see, this has been over, I think, the last 5 years or 6 years. And each time I've seen you grow in your rank in the department, you always shared your personal stories of what made you a better firefighter. And I think, if you don't mind, let's tell that story one more time, because I think right now, what we're going through, it might be helping words for some of the listeners.
So we're going to talk about the story about Chris again? That's the one you want to hear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a lieutenant and I was young and being a lieutenant, and I'd had a couple of good rookies come through that were very successful. And I just kind of thought that I was I was the guy. And I became very arrogant, very cocky, and very self-admiring, I guess you could call it, to the point where I had a rookie come through the door, Chris, and when he showed up on his first day with a store-bought cake and a half-gallon of Party Pail ice cream, I looked at him and I said, "Hey, this is Texas. We eat Bluebell." and we bake our own cakes. And I took each of them and I threw it in the trash in front of his face. And in that moment, I stole his happy. I stole his moment of I'm a firefighter. I went through the process. I'm successful, and now I'm on shift. I ruined his first moment in a firehouse. Um, we went through his probationary book, and I was pencil whipping it because he wasn't performing the skills to the utmost
Level.
acceptance. Yeah, the utmost level, the utmost acceptance, the utmost expectations of each skill. But instead of working with him, I was just saying, well, you'll get there one day and checking him off so I could get him down the road because I didn't think that he would fit in with the crew. And lo and behold, he came to me one day and he said, "Hey, I need some help with this hose handling. So I get my butt whipped every day." And I said, "Yeah, you do." And he said, "What else can I do?" And that was my opportunity to help him, and I missed it because I was arrogant and I was self-admiring and I was cocky. I wasn't confident. I was a dirtbag for all intents and purposes. And I told him, I said, "Well, I've taught you everything I know. Maybe you just need to gain weight," because he was a scrawny kid. And so he went and he bought weight gainer powder and he started taking weight gainer shakes because he truly believed in what I told him, which is another red flag that I missed, right? Is after all the harsh things that I had said or done, or the pencil whipping that I had done, that he got sick from the weight gainer shakes and actually lost weight. Um, so we went through and we pencil whipped his book and he got checked off and he went to a new crew and a new shift. And about 6 months later, I get a call from that lieutenant. It's like, "Hey, this guy's not cutting the cake, man. Like he's really struggling. Like, what's his deal? Because you have him signed off." And I said, "Man," I said, "Look, he's a guy that's never going to promote. He's not going to be anything more than a firefighter. He'll get there one day, but he'll be all right." And part of that was, one, I wanted to cover up the opportunity, all the opportunities that I had missed to make an impact in him. And two, I wanted to hide the fact that I was probably not a good lieutenant. Um, and so the other lieutenant told me, "No, like he's really struggling." And I said, "Man, just keep working with him. He'll be fine." Like he picked it up with me, which was completely not true. He never did pick it up with me, but I was too much of an arrogant dirtbag to admit my failures. Um, and about 4 months after that, Chris walked through my door one day, knocked on my door, and I looked up and he's standing there. And I said, "Hey," I said, "what are you doing here?" He said, "I need your help." And I said, "Well, you need your help?" I said, "What? Or you need my help?" I said, "Why do you need my help?" And he said, "Well, I'm kind of struggling and on the shift, and I'm in trouble. They're putting me on a PIP." And he said, if they don't accept the PIP that I'm writing for myself, then I'm going to get terminated."
What
And I
is a
said,
PIP, Jacob?
PIP is Performance Improvement Plan.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, then why do you need me?" And this is when it all hit home. And this is when I realized how much of a loser I was. He said, "You are the best lieutenant I've ever worked for, best company officer I've ever worked for. Will you help me write my PIP so I can stay on the job?" And then it hit me. In that one moment, I thought, well, if I was the best you ever worked for, then why are we having this conversation? If I'm the best you ever worked for, why are you struggling in your skills? If I'm the best you ever worked for, then why are you staring down termination? Why are you having to write a PIP? All of your quote unquote failures that lead to this moment are on me. And so I went and I helped him write his PIP. The city didn't accept it, and he was ultimately terminated. So long story short, he went on and had a successful career in the military, still is in the military. But over the next several years, there was a huge internal struggle in me of who I was, right, real time, as a company officer and a human being, and who I wanted to be, and then who did my father and mother raise me to be. And what I quickly determined was who my father and mother raised was the Jacob at home, the husband, the father, the son, the friend. But the Lieutenant Johnson that hit the firehouse every 3 days was not the man that my parents raised and was not the company officer that I needed to be. And I was a complete and total loser. I was an arrogant, cocky, dirtbag loser. And I have no issues in saying that. And so it was an internal struggle of, well, I did my job. Well, no, you didn't do your job. Well, no, I did do my job and I did teach him and I did work with him. And there was moments of that, right? And don't get me wrong, this wasn't months and months and months of just yelling and screaming and cutting them down, because there were a lot of happy moments within that time frame, but there was also way more missed opportunities to make him better and to make him successful. And so what that led to was me saying, like, I am responsible as the company officer. I have the obligation to provide a path of success for my firefighters. And I have to give them a career that they deserve and desire. It doesn't mean that I have to hand it to them, and I will not hand it to them. They have to work for it, and they have to put in effort, and they have to earn every ounce of their career, but I have to walk with them and I have to be next to them and I have to guide them and I have to be that voice of reason. And I also have to be that voice of expectation and be unapologetic in my expectations. Unapologetic in my expectations, unapologetic in my discipline, unapologetic in my accountability of my expectations. Now, a lot of people get upset when I say unapologetic in my discipline. That does not mean writing people up. That does not mean disciplining your employees. It means unapologetic in my discipline and my knowledge, skills, and abilities to this job, and passing that on to them. And so, after several years, right, this isn't a quick transition. This isn't like you have a light bulb moment and the next day you're changed and you're the new Jacob, right? This is years of work and years of self realization and years of understanding how much of a loser you truly are or were, right, to help make this transition. And it's also years of understanding that no matter what I do today, January 28th of 2025, someone out there in this world or still in this fire department, Pearland, is seeing me as the 2011, 2012 Jacob. They're not seeing the growth in between there. They're only judging me based on then, and I have to live with that every day, right? And I have to live that sometimes people just have an impression of me and that's who I am to them. And that's fine. I have to live with that. But I have to come to work every day and put a smile on people's face and make sure that they have a great day and give them the career that they deserve and desire. And that is what made me a better person through that failure, was understanding who I'm supposed to be at work versus at home. And what I quickly found out was just be the same person. Be Jacob. Be the guy, the man that your parents raised, that your son is proud of, that your wife is proud of, and that you gave your last name to your wife and she wears it proudly. Represent them in a light that they know you, and it will make you a better company officer and it will make you a better person. It will make you more respected around the firehouse.
Well, the fact that when we started, I think you were still a line officer, our first interview.
Yep.
And on this interview, you are an assistant chief of Pearland Fire.
Yes, sir.
I think you've grown. I think you've matured. I think you were not afraid of doing an introspective study of yourself. And I've been there. I didn't want to do it. I put it off for a long time and finally did it. And I was better for it. We don't like those kind of things, but it's life. And we have to remember to be our best, be a nice person, whether you're a firefighter or not. Anybody listening to this, these are simple takeaways for life. Be a nice person, have caring, be willing to help with charity, do everything that keeps your family safe. Know that there are people waiting to help you should you need their help. And to me, the fact that you've grown to where you are now, and I don't think that's going to be the end of the acme of your career. I think there's one or two more levels that you might climb on that
Ooh, I don't know.
golden ladder.
Ooh, I don't know, Steve. I'm pretty happy where I'm at. I don't know if I want to be that top spot.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll know if it's right for you when the time comes.
Yes, sir.
But it's been an honor to have you as a friend and a guest. I am so lucky to have good friends who I've never met in person, but through the magic of video and audio and the podcast, we're able to see each other. It might be infrequently, but there's always emails that we, exchange. Uh, we were happy to help one of the firefighters from Pearland who was severely injured. God, how long ago now was it? It was about
18 months.
18 months ago. And when Jacob told me about it, we were able to send a check to this firefighter, and it was helping him. And that's what we care about at Five Alarm Task Force Corp. Our job is to help our brothers and sisters, and we want to help him, and we did, and it worked. It helped him and his family, and that was the most important thing we could do at that moment.
That's
And
right.
I think that's what we have to learn. We have to learn at the moment. We can't always look back and know what to do when we can't look forward because it's a blank slate when you look forward.
That's
You
right.
don't know what's it's going to bring.
Yeah,
So
I take that back. It was 16 months ago. That's my
60.
fault.
Oh,
16.
here he goes.
And his little boy is about to turn 1
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
That's wonderful.
Hmm.
Well, please give him our best.
I
Okay,
sure
we're
will.
glad to hear the good news. I love that little video with him holding onto the truck. That
Oh
was
yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I really enjoyed seeing that. And that I'm probably got his heart pumping like it hadn't pumped in quite a while.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Jacob, it's always a pleasure to have you. I hope I'll be around maybe for another one.
I hope so.
You're so down to earth, and you don't have, in my mind, for all the years we've known each other, I've never heard you use your ego because you don't talk about it, because you are who you are, and you do the best you can every single day. If we could just spread that around in like a little gaseous vapor that every firefighter and every police officer and every EMS person and every road ranger has, that they can feel the same thing. I do my best, and that's what's important to me, to serve the people on my job. And whether you're towing a car, fixing a car, blocking an area for an accident on scene, whatever, your actions count everything you do. And so I could not be more proud to know and have Jacob on 5 times because he is the real person that you listen to or you see on the videos. He is the real person. And like I said, as we said earlier, go to LinkedIn, you go to Firehouse website, the Firehouse website, and you can catch his Monday. What was it called again? Monday what?
Mentor Monday.
Oh, Mentor Monday.
Yeah.
Like I think when they said the word mentor, I think they already had him in mind. So my thanks to my good friend Peter Matthews for making a great selection and having you be the spokesperson for Mentor Monday. It's always great to see you, great to talk with you. Love to your family, and keep those guys pumping.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Steve. I love coming on this show. I really appreciate you reaching out. It's a true testament to the brotherhood and how far it can really stretch is how many people you've been able to meet and bless on this podcast and on this platform, and how we can truly call each other friends because we truly know each other. Because, like I try to do, and many others, you invest in other people and you invest in their lives, and you do what you have to do to keep the brotherhood alive. And so, the fact that you're all the way in South Florida and I'm way here in Texas, we have a connection that stretches across 4 states in between us, and it's a connection that can't be broken. So, I appreciate you and all you do. And I hope that we can come back on season 10 and do it one more time.
I hope so. Great. Folks, that's it for this episode of Five Alarm Task Force with my good friend, Assistant Chief Jacob Johnson from Pearland, Texas Fire. Again, you can check our website for how to help make donation for our cause to give lots of money, get it out to the firefighters in LA County and in LA City. They've gone through hell. Let's bring them a little closer to heaven with financial help for them because they lost it all, not just the citizens, but most of them lost it all as well. So keep them in mind. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with another episode in just a short while. Thanks, and stay safe, stay well, and let's make sure we take care of each other. Bye-bye now.